Hi there, it's Nicole from Mama Elephant, and today I have a card showcasing the cute Tiny Ninjas stamp set. This is included in the Simon Says Stamp Masterpiece Box Collection, so it's available early. This stamp set will actually be released individually later this year. I have framed up these little tiny ninjas in the Polaroid frames from the Polaroid Fun stamp set. I am going to start by stamping 3 of the little tiny ninja images on some smooth white cardstock using Simon Says Stamp Intense Black ink. I'm using this ink because I am going to add a tiny bit of Copic coloring to these images. Even though they are mainly black, I am going to color in their faces and then the little sashes and things around each ninja. I'm leaving a little bit of space between each image. I kind of thought it would be a little bit easier to stamp the images and then take the small Polaroid frame from the Polaroid Fun die collection, line it up with each ninja, kind of position it the way I want it to go, and then run that through my die cutting machine. So I'm going to do that for all 3 of these ninjas. You could definitely die cut the frames first and then stamp the images. I just kind of thought this might be a little bit easier than trying to mess with those tiny little squares. So I'm going to do this for all 3 images. And I don't want them to all be straight on, so they're going to all be at a little bit of an angle of some sort. There's my second one. And even though this last one is going to be, I won't actually get a complete frame die cut because it's going to slightly overlap, that's okay. All I need is that square. I also die cut 3 frames from black cardstock, and for those I'll discard the center square or save that for another project and use the frame. I am using some Copic colors, just doing a quick coloring here, coloring in the faces with about 3 shades of earth tone colors. I laid down the lightest color first. I'm going to add the darkest color, blend out with my mid-tone color, and then blend the entire face out with my lightest color again. So here's that mid-tone color. And I did do the hands as well as necessary. Not all of them made it into the cute little frame. I will add a little R20 to the cheeks to pinken them. Very hard. I don't even know if it really showed up all that well. So it's kind of hard to see, but it's a little bit of a pink area there. Trying to get the most interest and dimension on these small little images as possible. Using 2 shades of red, R35 and R37. Laying down R35 first on all 3 images. And then going in with R37 and blending in some of that darker color. I can go back with my R35 and blend it out if I didn't get it smooth in some of the areas. There are all 3 of my frames. I'm going to take a black glaze pen and go over the eyes on each image to really make the eyes pop. And then I'm going to use a white glaze pen to add some little dots to the cheeks. Little finishing touches. Now I have die cut a rectangle using a So Fancy Creative Cuts die from Mama Elephant, and I used the powder tool on my rectangle, and now I am inking up greetings from the Tiny Ninjas stamp set using the Simon Says Stamp clear embossing ink. I stamped the first greeting, sprinkled on my white embossing powder so I could see it, and then sprinkled the next greeting and sprinkled on my embossing powder, and then I'm simply heat setting that. I'm going to do a little embossed resist with my background. I decided to use the Candied Apple Distress ink to coordinate with the red that I colored in the images. It's going to be darker near the bottom and get slightly lighter near the top of this landscape background. You can see my greeting pop there once I get the ink placed over it. I love embossed resist. I am applying the ink to smooth white cardstock. This can be a bit tricky. You can see the ink marks a little bit. However, keep in mind as that distress ink dries, it does take longer than a traditional dye ink. It will blend out. So try to get it as smooth as possible with your ink blending tool. Use a little bit lighter hand maybe, but the ink will blend out as it is absorbed into the paper and as it dries. I'll flip this around so I can have a little bit better control of the top of the panel. For whatever reason, I kind of always tip mine to the side. I feel like that's just how I like to apply my distress inks. You're going to want to buff the greeting with either a dry towel or a paper towel so that that bright, crisp white embossing shows up and there's no ink on top of the greeting. I've got my 3 little frames here. I'm going to lay them out, make sure I like how they look. Before I commit to attaching these, I want to add just a little bit more to the background of this card panel. I'm going to take some picket fence distress paint, water it down a little bit, and then pick it up with a small paintbrush and add flecks of it all over the background. The smaller the paintbrush, the smaller the little droplets will be. Then I'm going to go ahead and take some black soot distress paint, do the same thing I did with the picket fence. Just put a little dot of it there on my acrylic block, water it down with some water, pick it up with a thin, small tipped paintbrush and add some flecks of that all over the background, kind of along the same line that I did the white. And then I want to let that completely air dry. You can speed it up with a heat tool if you want to. I'm going to attach my frames to the background and I want them to be slightly at an angle. One thing I love to do when working with Polaroid frame die cuts is to give them the illusion that they're taped up in place. So I almost always use washi tape with them. I think it's kind of a fun look. So I want them to all look kind of imperfect. I don't want them to be straight up and down. Go ahead and apply some adhesive in the center of each of those frames and then replace the center tiny ninja pieces. So cute. I just love these. I think they are so fun. I'm taking a little washi tape. This is some old Doodlebug striped tape. It's a little bit thinner, which I like for these small images. It's not the real wide washi tape. And I'm going to tape them on both the top and the bottom of each frame. Because it's white on white, it's not terribly overpowering for the whole image. I'll add some adhesive on the back of my panel and then attach this to a side fold card base to finish my card design. Thanks for watching this video showcasing the Mama Elephant Tiny Ninjas stamp set. The supplies I used to create this card are listed and linked below the video here on YouTube. Here are a couple more cards featuring stamps from the Masterpiece box collection from Simon Says Stamp. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next time.